Anyway, the ingredients aren't even right. True Ruby stew is made with a variety of vegetables grown in the swamps. Lots of wet root vegetables like quadling carrots, and scarlet turnips, and horary radishes, and ruby potatoes. This sorry excuse for a stew only has potatoes. It looks like. Maybe some carrots, but they certainly aren't the quadling variety. And hell, they even had the nerve to put greens in it. Elfin voice had once again risen, now nearly to the point of shouting. Come on, girl, don't be a Karen. Nobody likes a Karen. Karens suck. Those are the real wicked witches, and I talk as somebody who used to work in food service, so my heart goes out to any of you who are still in that position. You all deserve to make way more than you do. The only edible greens we could put in the QC were lily reeds, and that was if we were lucky enough to find some growing in the area that hadn't been polluted by the Oz-damned mining industry. This is good. You have a lot of little lines of realism that I think really add flavor to the fic. Elfie, dear, I know you're upset, but you're causing a bit of a scene. Good, Elphaba snapped. This place deserves my outrage. Yeah, it is kind of funny, like, even though sometimes I'm like, dude, Elphaba's, not that she's too above being a Karen, but like, she wouldn't do that. I'm too lazy to be a Karen. But I'm like, no, you're right, this is very in character. I could see her taking personal offense to something like this being, someone's gotta hear about this. I want to speak to the manager. Like, she basically pulled a Karen when she went to the Emerald City. She was like, I want to speak to the wizard. And then took Glinda with her. Anyways. Glinda cast a worried look across to the boys who pretended to ignore the situation. Defeated, she buried her face in her hands. I can't take you anywhere, Elfie. Excuse me, Elphaba said, making a pass to the waitress. Not even the one assigned to their table. Come on, girl. May I speak to the chef, or to the manager, or the owner, or whoever is in charge of making this menu? The waitress, who looked to be at Glinda's age, if not younger, froze in her tracks, intimidated by Elphaba's glare. I'll see what I can do. See, because I and many of my friends have been in the shoes of this poor young lady, and I'm like, Elphaba, F off right now. You leave this poor girl alone. She doesn't get paid enough. She's just doing her job. She is not to blame. You keep your time. So PSA to everyone out here, please, please. I get it. I, too, have felt frustrated when my order was wrong or late or not what I thought it'd be. And the last one, though, I blamed myself. I'm like, well, there goes some of my money. But it's not like the waiters were trying to pull a sneaky on me. Now, again, I understand Elphaba is different than me. It's just a story. I'm not actually mad. But I'm just saying, y'all, dear, whoever's listening to this, please be kind to your servers. They don't get paid enough to deal with your bullcrap. Because again, I mean, you've felt that exasperation even if you've never worked in food service. So just remember, just be polite and be brief. That's all either side really wants. Neither side's looking for a fight. Anyways, not long after, two people, presumably the chef and the owner, were at the table side. Gentlemen, if you please, I'd like to discuss your restaurant's utter disrespect for the culture and traditions of the Quadling country. Yeah, this is so Karen. Elphaba continued on her tirade for what felt like eons, then she stormed off without paying, nearly taking the full bottle of wine as she left. Girl, that's illegal. Glinda looked at the boys, who looked as simultaneously impressed and embarrassed as Glinda felt. Well, so much for a fun dinner with friends. Glinda sighed and footed the bill. Good thing you got a rich girlfriend. Yeah, I can't take Elphaba anywhere. Elphaba pulled her jacket tighter around her, trying to stave off the brutal cold of midwinter. I read in mid-June, late June, an ungloved hand lay bare to the cold as it clutched around the handle of her shopping bag, containing another 2 bottles of elderflower wine. It was quite delicious wine, miserably addictive, she had to admit. At least something good had come from the miserable evening several months prior. Oh, this is later, sorry. As she entered Crage Hall, a faint yet enticing aroma caught her attention. Someone must be cooking in the commons kitchen area again. Whatever it was smelled delicious and a reminder that she'd been so caught up in her studies that she forgot to eat a proper dinner or lunch for that matter, and probably breakfast too. Yeah, that's Canon Elfie right there. That's why she's so thin. Head full, body empty. I'm kind of the same way. My parents were telling me I probably could use a little more muscle weight, and they're not wrong, but I'm like, dude, I'm so cerebral. I love to read and write. I don't like to, like, do things. Anyway, no, she had to ignore the hunger pangs. Glinda had promised her a dinner date tonight. She had to hold out for that. You could still snack on like 1 cracker or something. That's what I do to tie me over. So despite her body's protest, she trudged upstairs to room 22, should have been 69, her book bag and coat and bottles of wine weighing her down immensely. She got to her and Glinda's room and saw a hastily scribbled note taped to the door. It read, Elfie, making dinner for us in the commons. I'll bring it up to our room when it's finished. If you wouldn't mind setting the places at our bedside table. Elphaba rolled her eyes. Glinda had never been a great cook, but girl, you smell the delicious food in the common area. She tried to bake a single loaf of bread once and nearly had to call the fire brigade. Surely an elaborate meal couldn't turn out any better. Yeah, she exploded her sandwich too once. Still, Elphaba did as the letter instructed and cleared off all the books from the nightstand between their beds, replacing the plates and bowls of silverware and wine glasses. and a candle for good measure. Maybe a romantic atmosphere would distract from whatever culinary disaster Glinda was cooking up. See, this is why I relate to Glinda. Homegirl probably never cooked a meal in her life, and although I'm not as rich as her to have servants, I don't cook. Satisfied with the presentation of the dinner table, or what would suffice, Elphaba laid back on her bed, tempted now more than ever by the amazing smell that was coming from the common kitchen. Yeah, so put a little more faith in your girlfriend. She shut her eyes, enjoying a few moments of peace. After a while, maybe she fell asleep. The door opened, and she murmured a "Hi, Glinda," through her haze of drowsiness. Then the smell hit her, spicy and earthy and full and absolutely unmistakable. She bolted upright to see Glinda standing in the doorway with a decent-sized pot in her grasp, towels in her hands to prevent burning. Ruby stew. The aroma brought her back to her childhood with each inhale. You actually made a proper ruby stew. I did, Glinda answered with a smile. Now, please, if you please, this pot is getting quite heavy. If you could just set a towel down on the desk so I can set it down. Of course, Elphaba quickly complied. As soon as Glinda set down the dish, Elphaba hovered over the steam, taking in each layer of complexity. She spent so long at it that the moisture steam began to sting her eyes, and Glinda had to pull her away. A labor of love, Elphie. I really hope you like it. Why'd you make this? Elphaba asked as she spooned a hearty portion into both her and Glinda's bowls, which were real bowls and not just plates with slight divots in them. Does there need to be a why? Glinda asked, sitting across from Elphaba. For me, yes. Very book kind of conversation. Fine, Glinda took a sip of her wine. When we dined at that cafe a couple months ago, I saw how heartbroken you were that the food wasn't what you were expecting. So I took it upon myself to learn how to make ruby stew right away so you get to experience it the way it's meant to be. What a good girl. How'd you manage to learn the recipe? I'm going to assume Nessa sent it to her. There were so many different variations in each sub-region of the QC. I didn't think... Well, there are a few published recipe bases, so I found common ingredients between regional variants and started there, Glinda answered. Damn, she did her homework. Learning the recipe wasn't terribly hard, but getting the ingredients, I had to use some of my parents' money to get the right peppers and herbs imported from quadling markets. The one thing I wasn't able to stay authentic to was the Quigori radishes. They're just so hard to come by, so I had to use regular marsh radishes. Elphaba spooned up some of the stew and blew on it, waiting for it to cool just enough to eat. And why would you go through all that trouble just to make up for one bad experience I had? That wasn't even your fault. Oh, Elphie, is it not obvious? I love you. Elphaba played the fool because acknowledging the reality was far too terrifying a prospect. You should know now, my dear, that I'm not exactly great at picking up on things. Same, girl, same. Glinda rolled her eyes. Just try the damn soup already. Stew, my love. Elphaba laughed and carefully took a bite, careful not to let the scarlet broth drip down her chin, her emerald chin. The memories came flooding back. Turtle Heart and his broken speech, his kind words and his glass trinkets. Oh, she was just barely old enough to remember. Fragments of glass, a mobile over Nessa's crib, and her father and mother and Turtle Heart all living in some backward state of harmony, while she cuddled her bony limbs in Nanny's lap. Horrors. Oh, she remembered the horrors. The sticky, humid air of Quadling country, playing in ruby mines while workers were on breaks, and the children yearned for the mines, IRL Minecraft. Finding the same ruby mines as a teenager long after the workers had died off, consumed by her own self-loathing, she'd sit in the abandoned mines and draw pictures on the wall, secretly hoping that a flood would break loose and wash her off this miserable earth. The last meal she'd eaten before leaving for Shiz was a very poor rendition of the same very stew. Her father had made a feeble attempt at recreating it. He'd gone mad with grief after losing both Melina and Turtle Heart, or maybe he'd been wholly consumed by his endless hunt for holiness. Either way, Frex's stew was bad. Frex's last stew was bad. The cafe stew was somehow worse. Glinda's stew was absolutely perfect. Elphie, are you crying? I am, yes, Thank you, Elphaba nodded, wiping away her tears as she quickly devoured the rest of the stew, then polished off her glass of wine. Come here, Glinda said as they both finished their food and Elphaba was still crying. Not sobbing, not even outwardly emotional. Just endless tears, falling and leaving welts in her wake. She crawled into Glinda's embrace, burying her face in the soft curve of her breast. Shh, my love. Glinda's hand stroked soothingly against her hair. It'll be all right. They stayed like that for hours until the candle on the nightstand had gone out and what remained of the soup had gone cold. Amongst the pink sheets of Glinda's bed, they intertwined like vines. I cooked for you, Elphie, Glinda said, running a gentle touch along her jawline, down her neck, sending a chill down her spine. I went through all the time and effort and trouble just for you, and you still don't get it, do you? You poor dense thing. No, my love, I understand why you went through all this. I just want to hear you say it. Humor me, please. Aw. Right then, Glinda turned to face her, eyes shimmering like emeralds in the milky blue glow of the moonlight. I love you, Elphaba Throp. I love you more than words can tell, more than any gift or stew or act of kindness could ever show. You are... She was breathless now at the thought. You are my future, and together We are unlimited. Then they kissed. Then it tasted like wine and spice and a happy past that never was, and like a beautiful future that could never be. Dang. Why did you have to make this sad? Also, this is a very good fic, and I did actually watch the clip beforehand. It was pretty funny. But yeah, nice work on this. I enjoyed reading it. I actually took longer than 20 minutes, so I actually can do a bit of an outro. But yeah, well done. Like the writing was good. Visually, it was attractive. Like the formatting. And again, I know I said before, I feel like you did really well with all the points and whatnot of like, here's all the little tidbits of like her at the mines, her drawing on the cave walls, her with the stew, and then her being like, oh, this restaurant doesn't do it right because they're not doing it for the mines, they're doing it for the aesthetic. Like, funnily enough, this reminded me of Ratatouille because I remember as a kid watching that and being like, wow, they make Ratatouille sound delicious. And then there's that big scene where Remy and Linguini and Colette feed Anton Ego Ratatouille, and it's this meatball-sized portion. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then it flashes back to his childhood when his dear beloved mother made him a warm, lovely bowl of Ratatouille, and that bowl was full. And so I really relate to that part of this story. Like that's what this whole fic reminded me of, honestly. But yeah, great work on this. Thank you for letting me read it. And to everybody else, I will be back next week finally with that Gay Ozian history thing with a little PowerPoint to match. And then I will hopefully also make a calendar for July so that way people can kind of vote on the topics, like the order of release. And again, if anyone has topic requests, always feel free to hit me up so that way we can do stuff that you guys want to do. And it's not just my thing, but it's our thing. But yeah, another shout out again to Show Me the Universe to see the future in Blood and Rubies. They also have a Tumblr that I will be sharing in the link of my video. And I found this individual through my Discord. So again, everyone also please join if you'd like, or join the other one. I will put the link to that in the description as well. And I look forward to seeing everyone back for Wicked 6.